Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey David, how you doing tonight?
Ah, not the game I hoped to see, Bruce, but not an unexpected game, a close game. Two teams that are pretty evenly matched. I think it's going to be a tough series. Um, The Oilers, of course, lost 4-1 to the Winnipeg Jets in the opening night game here. Grade A chances were 9 for the Oilers, 7 for the Jets. So the Oilers had the slightly better run of play, and essentially the game came down to bounces. Bruce, if I'm completely honest, I don't think it was. It could have gone to either team. Either team could have easily won, and the Jets just got one or two more bounces, and one really egregious one which the broadcast team didn't mention, but you're going to mention later in the podcast.
Yes, I am.
This is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. And because the Oilers lost, we'll go with two bad things each. But Bruce, let's kick this off with a good thing. What is your good thing?
My good thing is going to be the Oilers' play in the second period, and especially in the first part of the second period when they took the bull by the horns and they really took charge of play, dominating possession in the Winnipeg end, outshooting them 16-8 that period, getting 6 grade A chances to 2 by our count and 6-3 by Sportsnet's count. Uh, but certainly this was a period where Edmonton tested Connor Hellebuyck time and again. Finally got a well-deserved goal to get a well-deserved, I thought at that point, 1-0 lead. And unfortunately, they had one bad sequence, and the lead went away. But so at the end of the second period, it was only 1-1. But in terms of flow of play and general quality of play, I thought Oilers did a lot of things in that period that they need to do if they're going to want to win in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was just marred by the one terrible goal where we're going to get to it. But
Mm-hmm.
the Oilers were really unlucky to come out of that period down a goal in that period, or tied for that period, Bruce. They outplayed
Yeah.
the Jets.
Yep.
They outplayed them by a considerable margin. They were
Mm-hmm.
buzzing. They had a couple five-alarm scoring chances, where Hellebuck made great or lucky saves, and they couldn't score. But it was a very strong period for the Oilers. I think it shows um, with this group of forwards and these line combinations that this can work. This group of players, you might change it up. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling about it. Often I do, but I do not. It did work that period. All of the lines were working well together, I thought, and I think did all four of them generate chances that period. RNH with a grade A shot, James Neal with a grade A shot, McLeod with a grade A shot. Absolutely brilliant grade A. Like he was when Neal and Cassium set him up, and he just was
Yeah.
so close to scoring. Pugliarvi with 3. So maybe Kara's line didn't get one that period, but they got one in the first period. Yeah, it was a good thing, Bruce, but not good enough. Not good enough tonight. I'm just going to tweet out really quickly.
Yeah. Go
Any
for it.
What did you think of? This isn't a good thing from either of us, Bruce. But what did you think of Archibald's hit in the first period on Dylan?
Oh man, that's about as hard of an open ice hit that I've seen all year. Absolutely crushed Dylan DeMello. Um, Looked to me like a clean hit, like he hit him with the shoulder right in the body. He was coming in steaming fast, but he was gliding. He wasn't like charging into the hit. I mean, he must have taken some strides at one point, and there was no replay that showed where he came from. But oh man, that contact! What a dart! And DeMello went down winded, as he would. And to his credit, he got up and got back to the bench and got back in the game.
I
But
Yeah,
the hit itself was textbook. Just hammered him. Man, that guy hits like a ton of bricks for what is he, 100 pounds?
yeah. I wish more of the Oilers had brought that same level of intensity throughout the game that Archibald did. I think it was one of the hardest clean hits I've seen in
of the
watching 50 years
season.
of hockey.
Yeah, well,
Like seriously, it was such a hard hit. You
hmm
just don't see players take a hit like that. They usually dodge it because you could see him coming, but he didn't get out of the way. I was secretly like I don't want to see a player get injured, of course, to the game because he's such a key player for the Jets. I guess my secret's out about
I
that.
wasn't
But
hoping that, but I don't mind softening the other team up with legal play. I mean, you're going to come out of it with bumps and bruises, and you better be laying on some of those same to the other team. And Arch certainly delivered a bruise of some description on that one. Whoa.
indeed, Bruce, my good thing was the second period goal that the Oilers scored. They got the 1-0 lead. If only they could have just found a way to hold that a little longer than they did.
hmm
Nonetheless, it was a fantastic play by that line. So the virtuous cycle starts with Dominic Cahoon on the forecheck, kind of popping the puck
Yep.
off the stick of the away from the Jets defender. McDavid picks it up, puts it back to Darnell Nurse, puts it over to Tyson Barrie, who does a very nice job of getting that puck on net. And there's a Cahoon is screening the goalie.
Yep.
He's not only popped the puck, he's done what he should do. He's gone to the net, and the rebound goes to Jesse Puljujärvi, and he puts it in for just a great goal and a great moment for the Oilers. I was thinking, okay, they're on their way. Here we go,
hmm
and then bad things started to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Cahoon, he made two terrific plays there, and both of them of just type of, winning battles. Won a battle to get the possession for the Oilers, and then he won another battle to create some of the congestion and chaos in the slot that uh, the puck bounced. I'm not sure if it was a rebound from the. I think it was a rebound from the pile as opposed to from the goalie
Yeah,
that
correct.
bounced to Puljujärvi. But Hellebuck wasn't quite sure where the heck it was, and part of that was due to that chaos caused by. So Hellebuck wasn't in good position, and Yessa managed to fire a shot that found a hole, I think, under his arm. The only hole they found in the guy the whole damn game.
Yeah,
I was
we
worried
have
he'd be good.
we have some comments here. Dwayne McCauley says I had a funny feeling they would lose tonight. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Larry Hool says my girlfriend says all mics are tight and Bruce's mic is tight. I don't know what that means, Bruce. Maybe
I
that's
hope
lingo
tight
for.
means good. I'm right on top of it now, but I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay a little further back. I don't want to be too loud.
Are you there? Do you see?
I do.
Tweet it
I
out.
do.
And we're going here. Bruce, let's move on to your first bad thing. What is it?
Well, it has to be that tying goal right after the 1-0. Oilers took the lead, and 2.5 minutes was all they could hold on to that lead. And it occurred on a series of bad plays, really, where you and I tagged all six players on the ice with some degree of culpability or another. And actually, one of those guys got off the ice on the line change because the three forwards, you could have thrown a blanket over the three guys right in front of the Oilers bench. It was a long change, so they're a long way from their defenseman. And James Neal had the puck over on the boards. He lost possession of it. And Ryan McLeod floated over there. And then Zach Cassian floated over there and tried to throw a hit. Well, by then you got three Oilers forwards that are behind the puck because, by the time Cassian hit the guy, the puck was gone. And it was essentially a 3-on-2 through the neutral zone. And one of the Oilers caught up and sort of took care of the third guy. So it was more a 2-on-2. And it was just a drop pass by Pullman to whoever it was got the assist, Wheeler. And then Pullman just charged right between the defensemen, and it was like Kulikov and Larson had their signals crossed, and neither one of them either got in the lane of the shooter, Wheeler, or um, tried to do anything to prevent Pullman from going right to the net front. And then Wheeler's shot was not all that great. It hit Mike Smith right in the crest, but Smith leaked out a horrible rebound right onto the stick of Pullman, and then he tried to swipe it aside with his paddle and missed the puck, and Pullman put it right through his leg. So it was one mistake by Mike Smith, but that's one more mistake than Connor Hellebuck made in what we'll call a one-goal game. And so it was sloppy on another level. It almost seemed like a freebie, David, for all the work that the Oilers did to get a goal. It was like, here, have it back, and
Oh
that was
yeah.
that. Never got another one.
I don't know what Cassian and McLeod were doing there. I mean, you're gonna lose battles, right? That happens.
Hmm.
But Cassian McLeod going over there, McLeod missing it, and Cassian missing it. Like
Hmm.
someone help out your defense. And
Yep.
then the two defensemen, Kevin Bieksa mentioned it. Someone had to step up and
Hmm.
stop the shot, and someone had to cover the guy to the net. And they two veteran defensemen, and they did neither. And then Smith with a big rebound, like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a horse show. It was terrible mistakes, it felt like, by everyone except for
Yep.
Neil and maybe Smith. But even him, like if he's on his game, he's not going to let a bad rebound like that. I don't think so. Mental mistakes, a battle lost by Neil, but everyone else made mental errors on that
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And it's just brutal. It's brutal. And McLeod missed a couple shifts after that. I think he lost. I wouldn't be
I
surprised
noticed
to
that.
see Gaetan Haas in the game. I don't think McLeod was particularly weak, but I wouldn't be
He
surprised
had
about
a
that.
great chance to score that he was robbed by Hellebuck, but
Yeah.
if he'd have picked a corner, it wouldn't have been robbed. But it was a good save by Hellebuck off McLeod. But he actually got off the ice, so he didn't get a minus on that goal, but he did get a minus on the game-winning goal. Where uh, honestly, I don't know which guy was playing center and which guy was playing wing, but neither one of them was defending the guy who tipped the puck home in front of the net. That's what I do know. So.
Uh, yeah. All right. Just not a very, Bruce. My bad thing. It's kind of just from watching the other hockey games in the NHL with fans in the stands. It had a different feel. Games with fans that were when fans were
Yeah.
there. Honestly, it felt like not the same intensity, not fun. Just kind of on a certain level, it felt flat. I don't want to say it sucked because it didn't suck. It was a good game in a lot of ways, and I'd be excited if the Oilers won. But it was flat. It felt flat in the building, and it's going to be flat until hopefully in mid-June the Oilers can get a few thousand fans in there. That's what I have fingers crossed. If the ICU and hospital numbers can come down, maybe fingers crossed. It's just going to be flat, I think, compared to what we're seeing on the American TV in those games that are just have that kinetic burst of energy from the crowd. And I thought that a number of Oilers players seemed flat. Like I was expecting so much more from. Maybe I expect too much, but McDavid was only in on two grade A chances this game, and I was expecting more from Nurse and from Barry and Larson and Kulikov and Chason. All they're really good players. I think Smith had a pretty good game. I don't, you know, that was a bad rebound, but and
Yep.
then Cassian was just he had a rough game. He was dumping the puck in late, not shooting it when he should have shot it. Seemed out of sync. He was a big major. There's so my bad thing is flatness, Bruce. Flat, flat,
Okay.
flat, and I burst out of this feeling the next game. What's your second bad thing?
Yeah. I hate to single out Mr. Referee in a game where the refs did their level best to not be involved in this game. They called only a single penalty all night long when Kyler Yamamoto got cut by a high stick that turned out to be a 2-minute penalty that the Oilers really couldn't convert, do a whole lot with on the power play. But uh, the ref made an egregious mistake with under 2 minutes to play that resulted, I have to say, resulted directly in Winnipeg's empty net goal that sealed the game at 3-1. And this was just after the Oilers pulled Mike Smith. Tyson Barrie dumped the puck in off the end boards. Slow, it bounced off the boards and it slid along the ice towards the ref, right where he was in the corner. And he didn't look. He just was looking everywhere but at the puck, which is kind of important there, Mr. Stripes. And it hit him on the skate, and instead of going to an Oiler and starting a potential cycle, with a minute 45 to go, I'm not saying they would have scored. I'm just saying they could have scored, and instead, puck hits ref skate, and it's not like they fired it and it bounced off of him. I mean, that happens. This was a slow motion shoot in. All of the Sportsnet team missed it. They never did. I don't think they ever did notice it. But if you recorded this game, go back and watch that play. And I have to say, David, I was very calm throughout this game, but I erupted at that moment, and I was swearing at the ref before Winnipeg even made the first pass. I'm going, get out of the way, with a couple extra words in there. And as soon as the puck went in the net, I just clicked back on my video and I watched it again. Yeah, I saw exactly what I saw. I thought I saw. Ref calls a turnover with the net empty, and it resulted in the empty net goal. And that was that. I mean, once, a minute 45 to go, well, they might as well have, they might as well just blown the siren right there. It was over. So just poor execution by Mr. Referee. And again, I'll say I don't think the refs had a bad game, but they sure made a bad play there, and that's often what our bad things are. It's just one mistake in a night of otherwise, sort of at least normal performance. But that was a doozy of a mistake. I'm actually kind of stunned that the Oilers and the coaches weren't all over him, although it was right along the boards where the bench was, so they probably didn't get a real good look on it. But it's obvious on TV. I don't know how the broadcast. Hannah Ryan Singh said, took a funny bounce. Yeah, you think? Hit the ref in the skate and went right to the Winnipeg guy. Went right, and three Oilers were trapped in that corner. Like that was where they were all flooding to win the puck battle, and the ref won it for the Jets. Is essentially how it worked out. So if
So
I sound
Singh
like a
saw it.
whiner, so be it. I'm just telling you what I saw, and what I saw was plain as day. The ref got in the way of the travel of the puck, and it had a huge effect on what happened next.
The ref Singh saw it, so I'm surprised he didn't
He
like.
said it was a funny bounce. I don't think he saw
It's,
exactly what happened. I
yeah,
think
but
he
you
thought it
think
took a
he
funky
might have noticed
bounce
it and then
off the
go back
board.
to like they're I don't know, they maybe don't have a
Replay.
lot of time. We can watch the replays as much as we want, and we do. Like,
Hmm.
for me, the game finishes 10 or 15 minutes after it's finished for everyone else because I'm just
Right.
watching the replays for the game
Of
and catching
course.
up. But
But I don't
it,
need to see four replays of Kyle Connor shooting the puck in an empty net from center ice. Show me how Winnipeg got the puck. I mean, you show me that, and you're going to show me, to me, a contentious play. And, bad, just a crappy break, is what it amounts to. I mean, pucks do hit refs all the time. Not usually at such a slow speed at that, and such a crucial situation, which is why I'm a little sour about it. But whatever. It's a bad thing.
CJLB49 says, "Thank you, Bruce. They wouldn't show the replay and didn't mention it, but the ref assisted that goal. So
Yep.
maybe a conspiracy, Bruce, to hide the
It's
ref's
not a
mistake."
conspiracy. They blew it too. The Sportsnet is part of my bad thing for not cashing it, because they're supposed to be covering what's going on out there, and they missed
I,
it.
I like the conspiracy theory.
No, I don't like
Some
conspiracy
people are calling,
theories.
wishing Jack Michaels had called it. Thought it would be more exciting. Jack did do an outstanding job this year. Um, we have a comment from where is that one? Just let me find it. Here we go. Oh, can't find it now. So much. There's been a lot of comments about Cassian not playing very well. I can say that. There's and Tippett's getting a lot of heat here too. So
I'm going to
I don't.
mention one here. Steve Dillon, good fella.
Yeah,
Guys, help me out. How to participate in the live chat? Well, good fella, you are participating. How do you think Cassian did? Also, I felt the Dynamite line did their thing, and it needs to pay off sooner as opposed to later. I agree. I thought actually Yamamoto and Nugent Hopkins, I thought they were excellent in this game.
yeah.
Nugent smartened the puck, and Yamamoto, man, he doesn't shy off from the battle, does he, at any point? And he easily could have got a deflection on the in the third period that could have got a bounce, a different bounce. But you're going to talk about that in a minute. And I thought Draisaitl was strong in the middle. Frankly, it was. Um, well, I guess it just wasn't their night, but it was the line. That line had, I thought, a pretty decent game.
I'd like to see them go back to it. I hope they do. I mean, I was surprised actually that we didn't see the what I call the 81% solution line, Bruce. Yamamoto,
Mhm.
McDavid, and Draisaitl a little bit more because they went to McDavid, Puljujärvi, and Draisaitl. It's the Yamamoto combination actually that had the 81% goals
Mhm.
for percentage, 13 goals for, and 3 goals against. So you think you might try that, but I don't.
Puljujärvi had a strong game though, David.
Puljujärvi, Puljujärvi did, and so I'm not. I don't
Four
really
shots,
have.
4 hits, the goal, the goal.
I'm not shy about criticizing the coach usually,
No,
but
no.
I don't have a lot to say about that tonight. Here's from Adam. Long story short, both teams were kind of uncomfortable looking tonight, but McDavid seemed to be playing possum too much. Friday, we drink, we win. There you go. Bruce, my second bad thing is puck luck. It's puck luck because that's I think what decided in the end. The playoff, the goalie skate, the tip shot. When the tip shot happened, that the Jets went ahead on. I was so mad at Ethan Bear in that moment. I was just, I don't have hair. I was doing whatever I do, face palming and gnashing my teeth and thinking, again, again. Last year in the playoffs, the Oilers lost almost every single game on a tip shot, and Bear was the one not covering the stick on most of them.
Some of them.
Some of them. That's probably an
Well, there
overstatement.
was
You're
about
right.
9 of them. It wasn't all one same guy's fault. Chicago scored 9 goals
Russell,
on deflections on that
Russell,
series. Almost all of them out of the air, where the guy miraculously got a stick on a puck that was 3 feet off the ice and put it right in off the post or a corner, which is exactly what we saw again tonight. It's
this was a
getting
this
old.
one was going on net at least. Stanley shot was going to
Hmm.
go on net. So
Hmm.
I had that, I was on Oilers Now today, and I said, if they get some tip shots and score, like the Oilers, the whole oil country is going to have a massive nervous breakdown, and I think that's actually probably what happened, and I was part of it. Upon reflection, though, Bruce, listen, the Oilers had 5 tip shots this game.
Hmm.
Five. The Jets had just 2.
Yeah.
Any of the 5 Oilers tip shots could have just as easily gone in. Now that was a hell of a hard shot. So maybe let's say I'll go through the 5 Oilers tip shots, but it's just that's luck. That's bad luck. Tip
To a
shots will do
degree,
what
it
they
is.
do.
Yeah.
You don't know where they're going. The guy who's tipping them doesn't usually. He's just trying to tip it. He doesn't know where it's going usually. And that tip shot happened to go in, and the Oilers 5 tip shots, and the Jets 2, and they got one off the referee's skate. So in the first period, Kara gets a tip shot, and Archibald. This was right after Archibald's, otherworldly hit. The hammer of Thor descends on Dylan DeMello. Archibald puts it on net, and Kara gets a tip shot. That one wasn't a particularly hard shot itself, so the tip wasn't as dangerous. In the second period, though, James Neal, Connor McDavid puts it on net with some speed, and James Neal gets a tip shot. It is a brilliant tip shot. It's a 5 alarm save, and it just every bit as dangerous as the goal that went in, and it didn't because the hockey gourds were not on the Oilers' side. A little bit later, Darnell Nurse puts it hard on net, and Jesse Puljujärvi from the outside it's through a screen, gets a tip
Hmm.
shot, which is a very dangerous shot.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the same quality as the one that went in for the Jets and his Neal's tip shot, but a very dangerous shot. A moment later, can't remember, maybe it was Cuckoo who put it on net, but the puck's bouncing around, and Nugent Hopkins slashes it out of the air. Just a really dangerous play. Like it easily go in,
Yeah.
and it didn't.
I don't
And
know
it
how
didn't.
Hellebuck stopped that one. I think he actually reacted and got a piece of it, but well,
And
he did
then
get it. Definitely got a piece of it.
then early in the third period, Kailer Yamamoto, Adam Larson puts it on net, and it hits the massive collision and in front of the net with Yamamoto and a Jets goalie. It squeezes between them off Yamamoto and almost finds its way in the net. If that had gone in the net, Bruce, it's 2-1 Oilers. And this is, I think the Oilers win the game then, whoever got that second goal. So there will be there'll be some amount of criticism and angst and everything like that and upset. But listen, this game was a 9-7 on grade A chances. It came down to bounces. The scoring chances would have been closer if the Jets had hit the net on a few of their really dangerous. Thank goodness that didn't happen. I mean, Scheifele blew an absolutely incredible uh, shot late in the first period where he had the wide open net and he just missed it. So anyway, a very close game. The 5 alarm chances were pretty much equal. The grade A
Hmm.
chances were close, but Winnipeg got the lucky bounce, and the Oilers did not.
From Dominic Toninato, who played 5 games all year, 3 in the American Hockey League, 2 in the National Hockey League, put in because Winnipeg had 2 guys hurt. And wouldn't you know, the 15th forward that they come bring in to put in the lineup scores the game-winning goal in a 2-1 game. It's funny how it works, and it's hardly the first time that's happened, but it sure is frustrating when you're on the victim end of the stick. Good deflection,
Benjamin,
though. I'll give him credit.
yeah, it was. Benjamin
Perfect.
Sawa asks, anything nice to say about Nugget,
Yeah.
other than the baseball swing attempt? I think, well, we were raving about the dynamite line was probably the Oilers' best line in the second period when they played so well, and Nugent Hopkins and Yamamoto, they brought their A games. I didn't think all the Oilers did. I thought Draisaitl actually he had one bad sequence in the first where he was was part of the crew that led to a nasty scoring chance against. But I thought he played well, very well as well, and almost he got the best chance late in the game to tie it up
What
when
a
he
play
swiped
that
that puck on
was.
net. Yeah,
To lift the guy's stick and sweep the puck and to whirl and fire it on the corner. Outstanding play, but unfortunately he couldn't find a hole in Hellebuck because there weren't any holes to find in Hellebuck tonight.
Doug Cook says, "I'm not worried. Oilers played good. It's best of seven. We got this." And
Hmm.
I agree with you, Doug. I think the Oilers are still going to win this series. I think it's going to be a tough series. I picked the Oilers in six. Did you have a prediction, Bruce, before?
No, I did not. I weaseled out of that
You always,
altogether.
yeah, you're very careful about those kinds of things. So
Not
I
a big
won't.
fan of prediction. Well, I'll tell you what, David. I'll harken back to one prediction I made in a post I wrote about a month ago.
Uh huh.
Tried to figure out who would be the 4 players that the moves that the Oilers would make after the trade deadline. And I basically said I don't think we'll be seeing James Neal again this season. And I think he played the next game, and he's played practically every game since. And there he is in the game 1 of the playoffs. And then, of course, the NHL went and if there is a 4 move rule, then the NHL is going to need to explain to me how Boston was able to sit 16 regulars for the last game of the regular season. So that whole 4 move thing turned out to be a bit of a mirage. But my prediction about James Neal was hopelessly 100%, 180 degrees wrong. So
How about this for a prediction, Bruce? Do you think Tippett will change up the lines next game? Like the top two lines, not. I wouldn't be
uh,
surprised to see some shuffling on the bottom lines, but
I'm not sure that he will. I mean, I think the lines clicked okay. What I'm hesitant to say, but will now, is I don't think we saw the best of Connor McDavid tonight.
yeah,
I thought his mates were. I thought Puljujärvi was strong. I thought Cahoon had some good moments. McDavid had some okay moments, but I didn't see much game breaking from the game breaker. And I mean, 2 shots on net, 2 scoring chances that he was involved in all night, and they held him in check. I mean, Winnipeg was all over him for sure, but he's either going to have to figure out how to fight through that, or else we're in serious trouble here.
yeah, he was on my list of flat
Hmm.
performances from
Yeah.
the team. Definitely, I think he was
He wasn't
flat. I don't.
skate like he wasn't at his top
He
speed.
wasn't.
Like I
No,
will
he
see him
wasn't.
back. He'll be way better on Friday. I'm sure of it.
He
And all
better
I'm
be.
saying is that he can be way better because this was a couple of notches below top McDavid. I didn't think he was. When he's at his best, he moves at a speed that the other guys can't handle, and I didn't see any of that. Like sort of right on top of all of the fast twitch fibers are firing in sync. Like when he's on, he's just otherworldly,
I,
and
I
he was not that tonight.
I thought the Jets did a great job of having three-man back for time.
Hmm.
They were
Yeah.
played a very defensive, trapping gamers, very disciplined defensive game, and that's part of what went on with McDavid tonight. I also the thought crossed my mind like, when was the last time the Oilers had a really big game that they needed to win in the standings? It's been weeks, and they've been playing the Vancouver Canucks. They played the Habs B team. I don't, I just think that we might have been seeing a team that wasn't quite, and they've been off 3 or 4 days, that wasn't quite firing on all cylinders yet for the playoffs. But I think we'll I do think we will see a different Oilers team, like as many of the listeners are suggesting. We'll see a different McDavid and a different Oilers team. I think McDavid's not going to be happy at all with that performance, nor should he be. What's your number, Bruce?
Well, I'm going to go with the shot attempts in this game, which were 65 for Edmonton and only 37 for Winnipeg. Very one-sided, 33 to 22 in shots. But Winnipeg blocked 19 to 8 for Edmonton, and Edmonton also missed the net 13. I mean, you talk about Winnipeg missing the net on some good chances. Well, Edmonton missed the net 13 times. So they were shooting away. I'm not sure they got too many. We had it 9-7 on sort of inside shots that we call grade A chances. But again, in Edmonton's favor. And I think that's a game, you could play that game 10 times and Edmonton would win it 6 times out of 10.
Yeah,
Certainly, not every time, or, they didn't dominate the game, but they were the team in possession more often. And the second period alone really should have set them up with a lead that which they actually did have, but couldn't hold for any length of time. But at least on the shot clock side of things, they were generating and they were suppressing. I mean, Winnipeg only had 37 shot attempts in the entire game. That's a pretty low number. So,
alrighty. Yeah. The Oilers had more shots at net, more shots, more grade A shots, probably more 5-alarm chances. But Bruce, I'm not sure that Winnipeg didn't have more intensity and more of a game plan. And there's a number of stats that kind of hint at intensity, so I'm going to run through them as my number. The Winnipeg Jets had more hits than the Oilers, 68 to 58.
to 50.
50, excuse me,
Yeah.
68 to 50. They had more block shots, 19 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
And they won more faceoffs, 29 wins for the Jets, 19 losses. So 60% of the faceoffs. So those stats could be indicative of defensive effort. And I guess the least we could say is Winnipeg's defensive effort was they still did allow 9 grade A scoring chances against, which is below the Oilers. The Oilers averaged about 12 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So they kept the Oilers under their season average. Against Winnipeg in the 9 games, they outchanced Winnipeg 12-9. So this was a lower event game. That's the game the Jets had to play. I think
Mm-hmm.
they've got to keep the game under wraps. They can't let it open up. They can't let McDavid wheel and deal and have all kinds of time and space. And they succeeded in doing that. And they did it by playing a very intense shot blocking, hitting, face-off winning defensive game. Credit to the Winnipeg Jets. That was a strong defensive game, and Hellebuck was strong in net, and he, as we've said, he got the bounces.
Yeah, well, he made the saves, and he was the first star of this game with a bullet, Connor Hellebuck, and so that's what happens when one team gets outshot and wins. Anyways, it's usually because their goalie played well, and he did. But he's part of the team, and he's part of the problem Edmonton Oilers are going to have to solve in the coming days and weeks, 2 weeks that this series might go. They're going to have to work their way through the birthday boy, 28 years old, and on top of his game by what we saw tonight. Nowhere near the guy we saw most of the year, eh?
Correct. Steven says, when Josh Archibald is throwing the biggest hits on your team, you have issues. Where is Cassian?
Mm-hmm.
Nurse, Larson, Kara? Yeah, I think these are fair questions. Where were the Oilers' big hitters? Cassian hit the boards hard really once. I mean, he's coming back. To be fair to Cassian, he's coming back. He's been off for a month or whatever it is, and
Mm-hmm.
so you'd expect a certain amount of rust in his game. Hopefully, it won't be their next game. But yeah, where was that nastiness from Larson that we've been seeing, and from Nurse either? I didn't think I want to see the Darnell Nurse that was the Norris of the North, and I don't think we saw that player. I want to see the Jujhar Khaira that throws a ton of hits, and I don't think I saw that tonight either. So
Nurse was to me a little bit off. He was slightly jittery with the puck, and
Yeah.
not making real quick good plays with the puck, and um, he just was a little bit back on his heels. And I guess that's what you're saying about a few of these guys. And yet, when Nurse was on the ice, which was a ridiculous amount, he played 28-18 in this game, 27 and a half minutes at even strength. And the Oilers outshot the Jets 15-9 during that time. His pairing didn't give up any goals, and they were on the ice. In fact, he got an assist on the goal for. So, I mean, pointing a finger at him is probably uh, not entirely fair, but I think he's got another level that he can take his game to. And the Oilers going to need their big guys to play their top level game. It's as simple as that.
Well, he did have that bad turnover, Bruce, in the first,
Yeah,
where
oh yeah, that
and and
could have been in the net for sure.
and then this wasn't his fault, but Barry fanned on that shot late in the first, and that's when Shifley they got the Jets had that 3-on-1,
Yeah.
and they could have scored. And I think Nurse was out there. Yeah,
Hmm.
he allowed. Well, it was a miss. There was no shot on net, and then of course there was Nurse wasn't out there when Barry made his first turnover leading into a two, or when Barry made his first turnover leading into a 2-on-1 early in the game, eight
Right.
minutes into the game, and he did what he does too often, misreading the play in the neutral zone and allowing a 2-on-1.
Pinched in the wrong place, and
Jeez, we can't have like the Jets weren't making those mistakes, Bruce, and the Oilers did a little bit. They were
hmm
jittery, I thought, early in the game, and they were making those kinds of mistakes in the first period. They cut them out for the rest of the game, though. The Oilers were pretty solid themselves. They had a pretty strong defensive game too. So, uh, alrighty. Any more comments that you see, Bruce? You want to?
Diego Barro says Cassian is a shade of himself. He should be benched and learn a lesson. Well, he spent a lot of time in the press box in this game. Dave M says, did Nurse even get 1 point shot through to the net? And I think the official shots for Nurse was one on net, four that were blocked. So yes, he got one through. And yeah,
Mr. Fantastic says, our most dangerous defenseman was Larson. Can't win a series if Barry and Nurse don't put points on the board.
they
Barry was
actually
involved in the
did.
one
They
scoring
got they
point.
both got an assist on the goal.
Yeah, yeah.
But Larson was the one hammering shots from the point. And in that sense, Larson had three shots on net to lead the team and five shot attempts to co-lead the team. So he was at least trying to get shots in there. But uh, they've got. Especially if the Jets are going to hang deep in their defensive zone and bottle up the slot, they're going to need to get shots through from the outside.
Yeah. I don't have a lot more to say. I don't like a game like this that it could have easily gone either way. You can overanalyze. Like if they won, we'd be elated and thinking everything was tickety boo. But it's this is one of those ones where you shouldn't get too high if you win or too low if you lose. I think because it could have gone either way, and we'll see what happens Friday night. The Oilers obviously could desperately use a win. I find in series the team that usually, maybe I'm incorrect, but games 2 and 3 are those are the backbreakers. Of course, they're all the games are important, but
Well, in 2017, the Oilers lost game one against the Sharks and they won the series. And then they won game one and two against Anaheim and they lost the series. So, I mean, it's obviously you want to get up, the leg up on the other guys, but it's not absolutely essential. They've lost one. They have to win four out of the next six. It's a taller order than having to win four out of seven, obviously, but um, it's it's hard. I mean, they've beaten Winnipeg six out of the last seven. It's horrible the distribution. Six regular season wins, which are worthless now, and one playoff loss. But so it is. They got it. They got it. If you're going to get through in the playoffs, you got to earn it. You got to deserve it, and you got to find a way. And right, the thing they found tonight is that Winnipeg is going to present a stiff, stern challenge for them, and they're going to have to answer that challenge. So we'll see on Friday night what the response is.
I didn't hear this comment, but JT is telling us that Neil said it correct. Jitters. regroup for the
Hmm.
next game. So it sounds like James Neal said they had some jitters, and that's certainly what I saw, Bruce, as well as in the first period was some rather alarming mistakes and that looked kind of jittery to me, but um, we're also part of a pattern of bad of bad decisions. Anyway, I think I think more of the Oilers will bring their A game. That's my prediction for next game. Is that more this long list of players who are kind of flat, they won't be flat next game. I don't think. I don't think any of them would be my bet. So we'll see what happens. Final
Yep.
thoughts?
The battle needs to be joined because the other team shows no signs of being ready to get blown out like some were projecting. I have to say, without making a prediction on this series, I would never ever have said the Oilers are going to blow them out. These are going to be tough games, but tonight we found out how tough they are, and we know with hockey that even the better team doesn't always win. So but they've got to answer the bell and bring a stronger performance and then take it to Winnipeg. I mean, they've lost home ice advantage for at least the next two games for now. I mean, even if they win Friday, the Jets will go home with home ice advantage. So it's a difficult situation out of the gate.
This from CJLB49. I was worried in the first shift when Puliarvi slipped right off the bat. I could tell they were going to be
Hmm.
jittery. I had the same thought. I'm
Yeah.
sure everybody did watching. It's like, oh, that's a bad omen. And this from Corey Mikanuk. I think the Oilers had a better team in 2017. They were a lot grittier then. I disagree with that, Bruce. I think this Oilers team is better than the 2017 team. And when McDavid and when all of these players bring their A game, which they will do in this series, we will realize that.
Well, they did have 50 hits tonight, which I think might be a season high for the team. I'm not sure if the players were on adrenaline or maybe the minor scorer who counts hits maybe was having a bit of a
Yeah,
had a Red Bull or two during the game
Red
because
Bull and vodka.
they said there was 50 hits in the first period. And I thought, yeah, it was physical. I don't know about 50 though between the two at that time, but that's by far the highest hit count of the season. And the Oilers dished out some, so it's I yeah, it's way too soon to be throwing up our hands and saying this isn't good enough, but it's not too soon to be saying it needs to be better.
Yeah, there was a point in the first period, Bruce, where they said there's been 10 hits, and I was thinking, I think I've counted one or
It
two.
was 3 minutes into or 2 minutes into the first
Yeah.
period. No, there was a few for sure.
Okay.
It's more than two,
Yeah,
but I don't
maybe
know
they're,
about 10.
yeah. Okay.
I may have to audit a shift or two from the official play-by-play of this game where the hits were and see what they were doing because it is an extraordinarily high figure to have the two teams so far over 100 hits in a single hockey game.
Didn't feel that way watching the game, honestly. Like it didn't seem like it seemed like there was hitting. It was a play, there was enough hitting, but it didn't seem like it.
Well, I remember one play earlier where two guys sandwiched Draisaitl and knocked his helmet off.
Yeah.
One guy hit him, and then the second guy came in and sort of took a free shot at the end and knocked his helmet off. And then Kara got cranked in the far corner on a clean hit. And then there was a third one, Oiler, that got smoked. Um, and then Kulikov, somebody took a run at Kulikov, and that's the wrong guy to run at because Kulikov saw him coming, and he just did the reverse hit thing and really drilled the guy. That was good, and that was when I thought, okay, we're getting into it now. And there was a fair bit of physicality, and so it was part of the game story, and I'm not sure in the end it was sort of the story, but it was certainly part of the texture of this game. Was there was some physicality, and there was a hell of a good scrum right at the end of the first period, but never really boiled over again after that.
Ace 96 says, I hope Browse, is that what he calls Tippett? Browse goes back to Shore and maybe Haas.
Hmm. Well, he's going to have to think about it.
Cash
Third
the other
line.
guys. And of course, we've been hearing that comment for a long time, and it's a little bit.
I don't want to hear it anymore, honestly. Like people can say that, but it's not an excuse for Cassian at this point. He's got to figure out a way to get involved in the game. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in this game. He was off for a month. or whatever it was. How many games was it, Bruce? Do you recall? 10, 11.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's
and so
basically a month.
you can't expect him to be, sharp.
Yeah.
But I think he will get in the game. I do think they need his size, and he's
Zero
going to have to give
shots, which
more.
is so way too common for Cassian.
It
Zero
sure
shots
was. Oh
and
God.
2 hits and 2 giveaways. That's his statistical contribution to this game. And 2 hits in a game that had over 100 hits. Sorry, Zach, that's not enough. He played 10 minutes, and
I thought,
hitting is his forte. He needs to be bringing that because
yeah,
he wasn't bringing much. And I guess his forechecking kind of helped create a couple of chances. A McLeod
yeah.
chance, I think that started with a play behind the net by Cassian. So let's give credit for that. It's not a shot by him, but he contributed to the shot.
He passed it out to McDavid on Neil's tip shot, and he won a battle
Hmm.
there. Helped win a battle on McLeod's great chance. So there was a couple moments where he
Okay.
started on. First, I also thought Slater Koekkoek looked good. I thought he joined in the offensive play. He didn't make any
He
mistakes. I
did.
think he had a clean sheet. He might be the
Except no,
only.
no, on the game winner, David, he got beat behind the net
Oh
by the
yeah,
guy who fed
okay,
the puck out to the point. That was a small but crucial
yeah, fair enough.
mistake that wound up being costly.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if mistake. It's kind of borderline in that regard, but it was involved. It was a mistake on the big goal. I thought he played well, but that
Hmm.
said, if Chris Russell's healthy, Bruce, I think they're going to put Chris Russell in if he's ready to go. That would be my bet ahead of Cuckoo. We'll see. Indeed. Let's leave it there. Should we leave it there?
Yeah, we're going to have as many as 6 more games of this series to talk about, and many as 21 more games in future series to talk about. I'll put on my optimist hat here, and this is how it starts. And, I mean, in 2006, Oilers lost the first game against Detroit, right? It's not always sweetness and light. And 87, they lost the great team, lost the first game against LA Kings, right? The playoffs. Sometimes it takes a while to find your mojo. And 90 against the Jets. The last time they played the Jets, the Oilers lost the first game 7-5 in a real sloppy affair, and fell behind in that series 3-1 before finding a way to pull it out. So you can't just say, "Oh, all is lost" because they lost one game. They lost one game, and they're going to have to bounce back and recover from it and win the next game.
Indeed. Thanks for talking tonight, Bruce.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for all your comments on the live blog. This is really adding a new sort of element to interaction with our audience, which is something I, for one, really appreciate, having the back and forth a little bit. So it's fun to have that aspect right now.
And yeah, thank you everyone for commenting. We get to all of them. There's tons of comments. We get to as many as we can. And we're also just getting used to this, thinking our own
I'll
thoughts,
say.
trying to be something useful to say, then reading the comments and responding to them as well. But I really like it as well. It's cool, and we're all in this Edmonton, the playoffs. Here we go, Oilers. Here we go. Thanks again, Bruce.
Thank you, David. Have a great night.
You too. And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.